PettyPrattle.com presents the Dirty Talk Podcast, your podcast home for all things soap. Welcome to Under the Crimson Lights, a review of The Young and the Restless for the week ending March 8th, 2024. We're your hosts, Angela and Toni.
Hi, Toni. How you doing tonight?
I am well, and yourself, beautiful.
I am so great. And
Oh,
speaking of great, Young and the Restless has been
it
doing
has,
pretty well lately.
it's been a little busy, but it's also been a little good.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll take it.
Yep, absolutely. So where should we start?
I say start with what has had the least screen time and kind of work our way up to the most.
Okay.
And I would say that would be Connor getting diagnosed for OCD would be number one.
Mm-hmm.
Now, just to kind of give a quick review of this story, Adam, Chelsea, and Billy decided to work together to, be supportive of Connor. They put all their stuff away. Connor's, started freaking out a little bit when he was in the waiting room for his appointment to get diagnosed. But they all, stepped in to try and, ease as much of the angst as possible. Dr. Alcott, which is the name of the doctor, decided that Chelsea would be the one in the room when Connor went in. Um, Billy and Adam had like a really nice moment where Billy offered him some compassion and support and like got really vulnerable. And then Adam got vulnerable back and they kind of like bonded over this moment.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the end, Dr. Alcott invited Adam back in with her and Chelsea to let them know that he does in fact have OCD. They set expectations. I also want to say the little actor who plays Connor was fantastic while
Absolutely.
explaining his symptoms. It felt
Mhm.
real and authentic. It didn't feel like some young actors where they're just reciting lines. It felt like this is something he was experiencing. So that
Absolutely.
was that story in a nutshell. Thoughts and feelings and emotional outbursts.
I don't really have any emotional outbursts. I like that, the adults tried to come together and do what was best for the kid. I felt like they stayed true to Adam and Billy's history
Mm-hmm.
while also letting them do the right thing for Connor.
Mm-hmm. I think
Um,
I think that some people were a little upset by Billy being willing to kind of make those overtures of peace,
mhm.
because they feel like with Delia's death, there should never be peace between those two. And I feel like that's not necessarily true because when you look at the full situation with Delia's death, it was an accident.
Mhm.
He did think that he bumped the dog, not a person. And it wasn't like he was doing a full fledged hit and run.
Right.
As a parent, I can understand taking the tact of, you killed my child. I don't care what the circumstances are. I'll never
Mhm.
forgive you. But I can also understand that for healing purposes, you might have to someday make peace with the fact that it was an accident. Like some parents will be the parent who's like, I will never forgive you. You killed my child. And that's the bottom line. And there'll be some parents who are like, look, for my own healing, and so I don't go
Right.
crazy, I have to find a way to accept that this was an accident and
Right.
not blame you and hate you forever. So, especially
And
in Billy's situation with being with
right.
Chelsea and a
Mhm.
stepdad to Connor, he kind of has to if he
Well,
wants to make this work.
right. That's the thing. It's not like they're planning a joint Oscar party or Super Bowl party or hanging out and going to a ball game together. They
Yeah.
have called a a precarious truce peace kind of thing for the child.
Mm-hmm.
They're being adults.
Yeah.
They're doing the right thing, which I know none of us expect from Billy and Adam, but still, they're
Especially,
capable of it upon occasion.
yeah, especially these two. I was really surprised that Billy was the one who reached out first.
Hmm.
I did not anticipate that. I was like Adam, I was expecting this to be like some kind of like
Hmm.
tactic to try and make it seem like Adam was not a good father figure moment and like set him
Hmm.
off, and then it turned out to be something completely different, and I was very, it increased my respect for the character of Billy a lot.
Yeah.
And then Adam, of course, accepting that overture and meeting Billy where he was.
Hmm.
I did find him to be slightly more childish and immature than Billy in the scenario,
Yeah.
but overall they met in the middle and got that tentative piece together, and I
Right.
did really respect that. Um, I understand why it'll always only be a tentative piece,
Hmm.
and but
And
it's
that's
all it
okay.
needs to be as long
Mhm.
as neither of them like crosses a line.
Exactly. It doesn't, they don't ever have to be besties. They're
Hmm.
doing, in this case, they're doing the right thing for the kid,
Yeah, they
as they should.
basically therapize their relationship for
Hmm.
Connor's sake, and I really respect
Exactly.
that
Hmm.
because that's what you got to do in a parent step parent relationship.
Exactly. And, I think all of them were really good. I think this could be an important story.
Hmm.
Um, I think that, we're off to a pretty good start with it.
Yeah, I will say, I have to say again, big kudos to Connor in this, the character, the gentleman who
Hmm.
played Connor in this story. He handled it like I feel a child would. Like he felt
Hmm.
real and authentic to a child, explaining what he went through and like
Hmm.
trying to rationalize and make sense of what he was experiencing
Yes.
and feeling like, well, isn't this what happens to people? Like the way he explained everything, it felt so natural at times that I forgot to be a little horrified by what he was experiencing.
Hmm.
He was so like in the moment with it. And then you would see Chelsea's face and her reactions were kind of perfect to be like, oh my God, this poor kid,
Yep.
and bring you back into just the horror of the moment because he normalized it so well.
Right.
Um, and I just feel like everyone involved in that scene was really, really brilliant.
Yep. Absolutely. I mean, he is a great little actor. Um,
Mhm.
it's I like
They did
seeing
their
him.
thing with that one.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Hmm. Absolutely. And it's kind of why, yeah, it's stuff like this, that they actually, I'm not even going to go there. I'm not going to throw the bomb about the Emmys. Anyway, they all did great.
Hmm.
Um, and he is a great little actor, and I look forward to seeing more from all of them in the storyline. Look at me being good on the Lord's Day.
Well, it had to happen someday.
Mm. I'm not making any promises for later in the podcast or the next ones we have to record. But for now,
We're behaving, and that's all I ask
mhm,
of me or you.
yes.
Also, that story makes it a little easier, but the next
Mhm.
one might not. We have Cricket, Danny, and Phyllis into their shenanigans again.
Yeah.
Um, Basic rundown of what happened. Christine started the week confiding in Nina about the situation and getting good advice, but not necessarily fully listening to it. And then Danny comes into Crimson Lights and Nina extricates herself, and Danny and Christine talk and decide that, they really do have feelings for each other. They really do want to make an effort to see if this can work
Mhm.
between them. You know, Phyllis really is not a factor for Danny, except for he wants to be her friend. And he may be having a blind spot, according to him, he may be
Mhm.
having a blind spot as to how Phyllis is taking his overtures of friendship. Now, what we've seen on the show may not necessarily match that. However, that is how he's explained it to Christine to this
Yeah.
point, and when they go to society later, but I digress. Meanwhile, Phyllis is preparing a romantic dinner at society for just her and Danny, for him to make her dinner. And she's fantasizing about how Danny is going to be like, well, it was always you, it was only ever you, you, love forever you. And that blows up in her face. Now, I will say I did enjoy the Abby and Phyllis back and forth that led up to
Yeah.
her finally getting the place for the night.
Hmm.
That was
Yes.
hilarious
Hmm.
because, you know, I don't really get in. entertained by Abby very often, but her dry, snarky remarks towards Phyllis were kind of
Yes.
hilarious.
Yep.
But also reasonable. I was like, wow, she's like not being irrational. She's just being an ass because you're being an ass.
Hmm.
Fighting fire with fire. I kind of respect it. Why is Phyllis? Why am I now rooting for Phyllis and Abby to have like a couple of them? Because like I was, I'm not gonna lie. What if you can make Abby interesting? You might as well just get with her. Like that's my thought. But we're not gonna go there.
Okay.
Um, in the end, Christine tags along with Daddy to set Phyllis straight about his feelings. Christine takes a little too much of the lead, in my opinion. But eventually, Danny's like, "Nah, go chill at Crimson Lights while I deal with this. I'm gonna do this one on one. Think you've made your point, and I feel like to some degree I've made part of mine, but I need to kind of settle this." And at
Hmm.
first, Phyllis was fighting back on it. She was not
Yep.
having it. She was like, "No, you really want to have this dinner with me. It's about you and me. Don't let her get in your head." And then he had to
Hmm.
kind of be like, no, I do actually want this relationship with her to work. And it may be time for us to step back from this friendship because right now I get the feeling that you are not seeing friendship for us. And that is not going to work for my current relationship. And she quickly backtracked and sucked it all back in and said, yeah, no, go be with your
Hmm.
girl. And then although she seemed to accept the decision as soon as he was gone, she let Abby know that she plans to make Christine pay because it's Phyllis, and of course she is.
Yes.
Of course, it's a game to her until it's not. It's not a game to her until it becomes a game that she's lost. Uh,
Here's my thing.
Go ahead.
I hear everything Danny is saying,
Uh huh.
and I think he desperately wants it to be true. I think
Uh,
he wants to be with Christine. I think he wants a chance with Christine. I think he wants, but there is a part of him that can't quit Phyllis as more than a friend.
I believe that.
There is a part of her, there's a part of him that is crazy turned on by her. And then the other part of him is terrified of her and terrified of that part of him. Christine is safe. And I'm not saying that it's not real or that they are a great love story,
Uh huh.
but he's lying. Even, if only to himself, that all he sees when he looks at that woman is friendship.
Fair.
He was not pulling away from those kisses.
No, I mean we didn't really see that part of it this week specifically, but in past we have
Right.
seen that he is part of the problem.
Yeah, he absolutely is.
And I appreciated that Christine called him out on that to a degree.
Hmm.
She let him off the hook for it a little bit
Right.
because he tried to gaslight her and turn around on her and Phyllis.
Hmm.
But she did also call him out like, look, she can't get into our relationship if you don't let her in.
True.
And
But the
it's
thing is that he's not wrong. I mean, Christine does want to be with Danny truly.
mm-hmm.
But there is also a part of her, and I'm not saying it's not justified, but there is also a part of her liking sticking it to Phyllis.
Yes, absolutely. Two things can be true.
And she is, just as in this war as Phyllis is. She pretends that she's above it, but she's not. And that's
True.
part of the reason she wanted to go with him to society.
Absolutely.
And I think the other part of the reason she wanted to go with him to society is because she knows deep down inside he's lying to himself a little bit.
She's afraid. And
Mm,
I understand it. My problem in all of this, more than anyone, Danny. Danny is
mm,
my biggest issue because he has been gaslighting these girls back and forth.
mm,
And he may not even consciously realize he's doing it, but that's what he's been doing. And
mm,
he's been playing them off of each other and then acting like, why are you guys playing these games?
mm.
And then finally, Cricket had to sit him down and be like, is it us or not?
Right.
And he had to settle in and make a decision. And he said, it is. It is. It
Right.
is. And so she's like, well, then we need to settle this once and for all.
Right.
And yes, there's a part of her who wanted to shove it in Phyllis's face. But if you run me down and make me lose my baby, I'm
Mhm.
going to be throwing my foot on your neck at every given opportunity as well for the rest of my life.
Without a doubt. With absolutely without a doubt. I just, this
Was it
isn't the end.
necessary? Was it necessary? Not
No.
necessarily if you don't want to escalate things, because you know how Phyllis is and it's gonna escalate.
Does anybody have any doubt that Danny's going to end up in bed with Phyllis?
Sadly for Cricket, no.
I have
Like
no doubt whatsoever.
I'm not even a Christine fan like that. And I'm
Hmm.
feeling bad for her because I'm like, she's getting set up and doesn't even see it because she wants to believe in Danny so much. Because she actually has genuine feelings for him. But she's getting set up because there's a part of him that just wants to ride that ride one or two more good times.
Hmm.
He may not want to even necessarily be in a relationship with her, but he wants to bang that out a couple more times before
Yeah.
he says goodbye to that permanently. And
Right.
now that he's closed that door, he set himself up to cheat.
Hmm.
And he'll never be able to like fully give himself to Christine until that little itch on the back of his neck is satisfied. And
Hmm.
so yeah, Phyllis's reaction was an overreaction and she's blaming the wrong person, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
And should be mildly entertaining because we've at least had a break from this, which is more than I
Right.
can say for some other shows and their desperate need to always pit women against each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
We'll see what
the
happens.
next,
They're
yeah,
planning on going on tour together. I'm not sure, how that's all going to work out. But next up.
the battle for control of Chancellor Winters is heating up,
Mhm.
and it very much is. I'm throwing the Summer and Chance relationship in there because Summer doesn't seem to have much business outside of Chance on the show. So they got closer, they hooked up, there was some fucking involved.
Hmm.
Very not for me. I was gonna say vanilla, but I like vanilla, and this was not my brand of vanilla, is what I'll say.
How about vanilla frozen yogurt?
Oh, ew. Oh, sorry. Sorry, immediate reaction. My bad. My bad.
I'm just
Um,
saying, it's almost there.
yeah, like I like vanilla. If I'm gonna have vanilla, it needs to be ice cream, because frozen
Hmm.
yogurt does not have the flavor texture profile that
Hmm.
vanilla is. What I'm gonna say for me.
Right.
Um. So yeah, it was definitely vanilla frozen yogurt. I buy that, and I was like, okay, for those who like it, they'll love it. For those who don't, skippable scenes. Not gonna lie. But basically, the Billy and Devon power struggle was on display from the beginning of the week.
Hmm. Yep.
Um, Billy is being hella dismissive in this power struggle. Also, they're being assholes on that side of the house with this whole Abbott's name should be added to the front of Chancellor Winters. Bitch, there's an Abbott company already. It's called Jabot.
Right. That's what I'm saying. I'm like,
This is a
how
Chancellor
many,
Winters company.
right. How many names does this damn company need? And he wants it
That's
in the
just
front.
petty and here's the thing, it's petty and stupid. Like you are
Right.
causing conflict for no apparent reason over ego bullshit. Just to see if your dick swinging is powerful enough to get it. And it's
Right.
dumb. But then Nate, who is actually not in the middle of like chaos for a change, is just being supportive of Chance when he pitches a music festival, which Nate had already pitched to Devon months ago when it was just Winters. Um, but got shot down that time. But Devin's
I
on
know.
board now because he said the timing's better. But Nate and Devon are on board, so Billy, of course, is like,
Hmm. Right.
and it's just
Which
like,
is
okay.
so stupid because Billy was fine with it until Devon liked it.
And then it's like, this is literally your mentee. You, as the mentor, should be hyping this boy up more than anyone. But whatever. And then, of course, Mamie returns and wants to use Billy's mishandling of Chase to their advantage.
Hmm.
At the same time, Jill puts Amanda in play as her legal liaison.
Hmm.
And, Devon and Nate basically don't necessarily want a civil war, but Devon kind of subconsciously does want to fight Billy and win.
Right.
Nate's like, look, I've done the corporate terrorism shit. I'm over it. I just want this company to thrive.
Hmm.
That's literally all I want. And Devon's
Right.
like, so no, I definitely do. I just want to
Yeah.
thrive on top because Billy
Mhm.
fucked that. Um, and Mamie is like egging it on, and Nate's like, why are you not seeing that Billy is not nearly as invested in this as Mamie is?
Right.
Because Billy's so dismissive of it. I think he just feels like there's no way that Devon can top him, which is
Right.
gross a little bit,
Oh,
especially
I know.
considering commentary that he's had so far. Like, I'm not fully there with it yet, but it's going in a direction that's making me want to throat punch him. And if it continues in that direction, then I'm gonna be in full fledged kick him in the throat, kick him in the jewels mode.
Hmm.
I'm not there yet, but yeah, it's leaning towards a
It's
direction.
coming.
It's
Yeah.
leaning towards the direction in which I'm gonna have a commentary.
Yes.
So note that now.
Hmm.
I digress. Chance ends up venting to Summer, Abby, and Nina about being caught in the middle, and I'm like, yeah, that's not getting back to anyone at all.
And Mamie sees him talking to Nina and starts trying to, groom him a little bit to her side.
Yeah, she's very much with the butter, all slathering it over
Hmm.
them, like, ooh, look at your man, your son so good.
Wow.
We love him.
Hmm.
And I was like, that's hilarious. I love it. Hilarious. But like
And we,
she did an immaculate job of it, because like if you're not really paying attention to the overall dynamics of the situation, you wouldn't have even seen where she was going with that.
Mamie is delicious.
She's a
I
mess.
wish Jill was here.
Yeah.
How great would it be to have them two head to head right now? I mean, I would love it. But Mamie is delicious herself too.
But what
And
I
we
will say
finally,
is she brought out that fire back in Amanda, because we haven't
hmm.
necessarily seen a fiery Amanda in a while. And when those two met, the way they gave eye contact, the energy that they bopped back and forth, Amanda and Mamie is a pair. And Jill needs to watch her back, because Mamie is sounding a little too rational. And for a
Hmm.
legal like Amanda, rational
Hmm.
is like, that's candy, that's cake, that's ear candy for her.
Yeah, I was
And
gonna
she
say
might
Jill may
lose
find her surrogate there poached.
very much so. And Mamie did it in such an elegant way. I was like, ma'am, that's how you handle people. Like, she did no she's not like skeevy and disrespectful or anything. Like, there's just something so, sugar wouldn't melt
Hmm.
energy. She's got that like Southern Belle
Right.
energy to her, like
Hmm.
without being necessarily a Southern, but like just that mm, you know,
Right.
it's just so smooth.
Hmm.
And I'm just like,
Absolutely.
girl, give
Hmm.
it, give it,
Yeah.
ma'am. But she's
And
like,
we know Mamie's plan now, what she wants.
she wants to redivide Chancellor and Winters. And
Yep.
she's right. I
Mhm.
feel she's right, because it's very clear that they want to swallow Winters and delete their delete
Mhm.
what to this legacy.
Right.
And if you want to do that, do it to your own family company. Don't do it to like a legacy company like Winters, which is like, it's got
Right.
so much more than just simple family legacy. This is like a
Right.
black owned business, and literally the only black owned
Right.
business legacy that we have on this show. We're not going to have you just swallow it up and let it die. Neil
And
meant more to us than that.
and she knows.
Mm-hmm.
that Abbott Chancellor Winters would become Abbott Chancellor real damn quick.
Very. Like if
So
you
let
if
it
you
be
give
Abbott Chancellor and let it be Winters. You guys go do your thing,
and
and
we'll
we're
do
going to
ours.
be here doing our thing.
Yeah, and then we can have a united front until it's time
Mm-hmm,
to separate. But like, and the thing about it is, Amanda was immediately like, "No, Jill's not gonna have it," and and Amy's like, "Well, you get where I'm coming from. I get where you're coming from. I know that
mm-hmm,
you know Jill as well as I do. I
mm-hmm.
tried. Be clear, I tried. So if it goes left from here, know that this is because of your girl Jill."
Right. Which
And
was
you can see in Amanda's eyes that she knew that's exactly what was being said and that she couldn't even argue it. And so she went over and chit chat with Nina and Chase and a chance. And I'm gonna say something. Why did Amanda and Chance have more chemistry than Chance and Summer?
well, I mean, honestly,
She's
Chance and
fucking Michelle
Sharon
Morgan.
also had more chemistry than Chance and Summer.
Yeah, that's true. The thing about it is Michelle Morgan. Can we just take a moment to Michelle Morgan?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Ugh,
a couple moments if
wait,
you'd like.
uh, right? Worthy, more than worthy.
I mean, she is.
Yeah, but anyway, Mamie went back to the office, let Devon and Nate know that she'd made an effort to try and cut the war off at the pass, but that Amanda told her that her idea would likely be shot down by Jill. So
Mm-hmm.
prepare and get ready to groom Chance to.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, Billy's doing all the work anyway. And I get where Nate's coming from, where he's like, let Billy self destruct and us do. But the problem is, you guys are your fates are now joined. So
Right.
Billy self destructing hurts you.
Mm-hmm.
And so I get where Devon's like, I don't want him to self destruct on a company that is also mine
Right.
and also matters to me. Like, what are you talking about?
Right.
But yeah, it's gearing up. Um, I don't think Jill realizes that she does not have the allies she thinks she does, or that her alliances are not going to be as strong as they originally might have been because they're not thinking strategically so far. Now,
Well, I
that could
mean,
change in the
hasn't
coming.
Jill always underestimated Mimi?
She always has. She really has. And it's never worked in her favor.
No,
Not
it's, and but no one ever accused Jill Abbott of learning a lesson.
one. Entertaining, but bright, no. Yeah. And my thing is, I at this point, I really feel like everything is setting up to be on Winter side over
Mhm.
Chancellor. Um,
Yeah.
and I don't know how they turn that around without actually seeing the Winter side of the family as a legitimate half of the company,
Mhm.
like and
Yeah.
respecting them as such. And I don't know that Jill wants to do that,
No.
especially with this Abbott bullshit. Yeah,
Right.
like I will never understand that. That's
Yeah.
so disrespectful and dismissive and just
Hmm.
obnoxious. That just
Right.
means that she wanted to completely wipe out Neil Winter's entire legacy after
It
claiming to give
just
a shit about him.
it's I mean, and I hate to harp on this. No, I don't. I love harping. But the fact that not only do they want to add Abbott to the name, but they want it first is just like is insane to me that they ever
Really,
thought that there was any chance of people being okay with that.
like, why would they be okay with that?
Right.
Why would anyone be okay with that on the inside or the outside?
Right.
Like, I can't conceive
I
of
don't
the shareholders being okay with that. I can't conceive of the board being okay with that. I
right.
can't conceive of longtime employees being okay with that. Like,
And it's not even because they absorbed another company. It's not even because they absorbed Jabot or something like that. It's because a guy named Abbott went to work there. What?
right? Like, make that make sense. And I don't know that you can make any of that make
Can't,
sense.
because it's ridiculous. It's beyond ridiculous. It's
Basically starting a war because you wanted to piss on a company.
exactly, and it's the stupidest war to start.
And the thing
Of
about
all the hills to try to die on.
that's the dumbest one. And it's only going to guarantee that 99% of people are going to root for the Winters.
Right. I
And I
mean, they
mean,
didn't suggest that they call it Abbott Winters.
because that would piss off everybody Chancellor related.
True.
But trying to make it Abbott Chancellor Winters in order to basically second that, like even more minimize Winter's impact, basically erasing a beloved member of the, Genoa
Right.
City Society's legacy
Right.
in order to further your own personal legacy, but you're also like bumping down the Chancellor aspect, which Chancellor was its own strong company. Like, why didn't you do that when it was just Chancellor?
Right.
You never considered doing some bullshit when it was just Chancellor. But now that it's Chancellor Winters, you want to try and pull some shit like this?
Yeah, well, Catherine would have come back and haunted her.
She still would.
True.
Maybe she misses Catherine and she's hoping to get her back.
I know, right. Yeah. She's hoping for a visit with, Catherine going, Joe,
Get the fuck away from
Joe.
Chancellor if you're gonna do this stupid bullshit. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Chancellor is actually Catherine is actually out there like, okay, I'm sick of this fuck shit. Let me help Mamie real quick. Just shut
Right,
this stuff
exactly. Yeah.
from the great beyond. Because I'm like, there's no way. There's no way.
Mm-mm.
But speaking of
Yeah.
Abbott, the saga of Ashley Abbott has like taken so many twists and turns, and I do not know where it's going, but I think I have an idea. But
I have no
basically,
idea where it's going, but I love it. I'm like,
at
is
least
it
I think
the
I
ID?
have
Is
one
it
bit. Yeah.
but her personalities are like talking to themselves, so they're aware of each other.
The thing about it,
Some
the
of them
idea
are.
them can be aware of each other and some
Hmm.
of them not be. So it appears that some of Ashley's personalities are aware of each other and some are not, which is
Mm.
why the ID thing sounds more and more plausible.
And Jack's been worried for a while, as has Tracy,
Mm-hmm.
and now Tucker's worried.
And basically, the truth is officially out about Paris and how Tucker was not being a violent
Right.
jackass. Um, and
Right.
then Ashley is basically putting on a show for the Abbotts that she's fine, she's
Right.
dancing cotton candy. Everything is fine, and she's over Tucker, and she's moving on with her life. She's gone to Abby and Devon about Devon forgiving Tucker. She's gone to she did all that last month, and then this month she's just got the voices in her head and her determination to get back with Tucker,
Right.
who is Audra,
See, here's the thing.
but he
I think
doesn't.
Tucker desperately wants to move on with Audra, but I think his heart is still with Ashley. I don't think
Yeah,
he's anywhere close to over with her. I think that's why he's still so angry at her.
mhm,
And I think that, he wants to move on with Audra because Audra, again, is safe because she's not who has his heart. And he jumped through all those hoops for Ashley and bent over backwards. And then they were so happy for that flash second. And then it all blew up. And then she's crazy, but he's starting to get an inkling.
that she's
And
crazier than he.
he's worried. And I think he's
Mhm,
going to want to help her. I think that if Audra and Tucker make it to Paris, Ashley is going to not be far behind.
agreed.
He's going to want to help her. which is
Mm-hmm.
going to cause conflict with him and Audra.
Agreed.
Jack is going to push back against Tucker helping her because he's going to think Tucker's up to something.
Agreed.
And the personalities in Ashley are going to be both clinging to Tucker and fighting him.
Agreed. Because that's what they're doing already anyway. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's going to be interesting. And I think that at the end of this,
this is
Ashley
what
is
they're
going to
gonna be.
end up with the man, but Audra is going to end up with the company.
I love that for her.
I do.
Um,
I think that Tucker will give Audra the company.
for breaking her heart.
Yeah. And make
Because
that
like,
sacrifice for Ashley as well.
that loyal and that caring to him,
Mhm.
considering not necessarily her wheelhouse.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that then we're moving into, Audra's true formidable, which
Era.
I'm looking forward to. Um, and yeah, and then they'll get Ashley well, and it'll
And
be the battle of the cosmetic companies.
because she's gonna want it back. As soon as she's better, she's gonna want it back.
Right.
Because she's not gonna feel like Audra deserves shit.
No, not at all.
And that put Tucker in the middle because he's going to feel like he did the right thing.
Right. Or she's going to want them to start another company together to compete. And he's going to be like, this didn't go well for me last time.
Skippity, skip, skip, skip.
So I think that it's going to be interesting to see. And I mean, the acting talent in this group is phenomenal. And I know that not a lot of people like Trevor St. John as Tucker. I love him. I think he's great. I know that you and I are apart on this one, but I think he's great. And I'm looking forward to, I think this is even going to see another side of him.
Oh,
So,
I like that. If that's how you feel, that's how you feel. I have no issue with it. Um, I'm not invested in his Tucker. I'm invested in Audra and Ashley. Not gonna lie. Not their feuding, but just them as characters. I'm invested there. So whatever happens from here, that is where I'm at.
mhm.
Um, I'm just gonna be honest up front and make it clear and make it known where I stand. I stand with Ashley and Audra, and if they end up dipping out Tucker and being together instead, so much the better.
Hmm. Maybe Audra could make Summer.
Audra and some. Oh, okay, okay. See, now you're speaking my language. I get with.
Right?
I could get with that, and I'm sure the actress would not mind being
Mm-mm.
all over Audra. I mean, I
Who
wouldn't
among
mind
us would? Who among us would?
because literally, like, why wouldn't you want for your life? It's the
Hmm.
best ever.
Yep. So it could be interesting.
Yeah.
And, the whole Audra and Kyle thing. And
Mm-hmm.
Summer's Kyle's ex-wife, and it's just a whole delicious thing it could be.
It really could. Could you
Yeah.
imagine Audra stole Kyle only to then get with Summer?
End up with
It,
his wife, and they're the power lesbian couple in Genoa City.
oh my God.
Hmm.
The only thing I would feel bad about is Taraya losing their perch. But they could have double dates and I'd get over it.
Yeah. There can never be too many lesbian couples.
You're not actually wrong. You're
Yeah.
actually very correct in that statement.
Mhm.
I agree 110%. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, as long as they're well done and hot, I mean, that's really all that matters.
Right. Well, isn't that the
Oh,
same with any pairing on on?
I mean, valid, valid.
Mhm. Yeah. Mm.
Okay. We're really shooting through these things.
I
But no,
know.
Abby and Jack have been the loudest proponents of protecting Ashley this week.
Hmm.
Abby actually went head to head with Tucker, whining about her mother, and
And
then
he's not the bad guy here. He's not, he's not seeking
for
her
a
out.
change, for
Yeah,
a
I'm not
change,
chasing
Tucker's not
her.
doing.
Stay away from your mother. Okay.
How
Have
are
your
you gonna?
mom stay away from me.
How about that? Tell me how you're gonna work that out because I
Yes.
haven't figured. So if you can, let me know.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's
but I feel like the fact that he hasn't fully ratted um,
mhm,
Ashley means that what you're saying has some very strong validity.
mhm. I also thought it was interesting, Devon telling Abby, it's my turn to tell you to stay away from Tucker.
I mean,
He ain't
valid,
wrong. Yeah.
ma'am. Don't start none, won't be one.
Right.
Leave that alone. We know
Yeah.
he's a. We
Right.
know that he does not need more than half a mind to come up with an excuse to be messy. Do not encourage him.
Don't poke the bear. Yeah, absolutely. So there'll be a lot of interesting,
Dynamics.
yeah. And maybe if they really send Ashley over and they really let Tucker embrace his hero era and really be
Mm.
there for her and rescue her, maybe Abby becomes his cheerleader
Because you
to
know she
Devon.
would.
Yeah. And that would be a turnaround. An
She
interesting thing because Abby's issues with Tucker are because of her mama.
Yep,
Devon has a whole other set of issues.
agreed.
So Abby resolves her Tucker shit. It could be some, conflict for her and Devon, which they could use.
Yeah, they could use anything that would make them interesting.
Right. Yeah.
I support anything that will make them not bland,
Yeah.
which is what they are at present. Because I said what I said.
And not for nothing, but if Mamie got Amanda on their side, her and Devon are working closely together while he's
No, thank you.
having problems with Abby.
Let me be clear. I know that a lot of people like the whole Heaven and the Demanda or whatever they call it, Amanda Vaughn or whatever.
Hmm.
I have never enjoyed my Michelle Morgan being wasted on that man.
Okay.
I said what I said. I remember people being like, "Oh, they're so great together." I'm like, no, I liked her with Neil. I liked her with
Hmm.
I. There's a lot of places I've liked her. It's
Hmm.
never been Devon. Devon is not giving what he's supposed to have gave to for me
Hmm.
personally. Shoot, I would take her with Nate, although Nate has sometimes a chemistry issue on occasion. Like he's pretty, but sometimes he can have chemistry issues. The actor, I
Hmm.
guess.
Yeah.
But like, no, no. I have not seen him have chemistry with anyone but Victoria,
I
the
was gonna
Vaughn
say I
actor.
have another sapphic ship with Amanda. Speaking of Victoria,
Oh, I've never heard this one. I
talk
mean,
about power
explain.
lesbian couple.
I mean, explain, because I think I need clarification on this one.
Victoria and Amanda.
But no, like, what? Something about that is not computing in my brain, so I need explanation. Like, what?
I
Why?
don't know. I'm
How?
just seeing, just the dynamic, strong personalities, the
Mm.
brains of it all.
Mm. Okay. I mean, I guess teach their own. That's fair. I used to want Amanda and Phyllis, I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, I think
But
Phyllis is way too crazy for Amanda.
yeah, that's kind of where I stopped.
Yeah, that's the thing is the man is just like, yeah, she's too smart. Men will fall for that crazy. Women are too smart.
I was like, because I liked their, vibe. They kind of
Mm,
seemed to get each other to a degree, but I was just like, also, you're out of your ape raving mind. I can't do this. You're too stressful. You're not gonna let me
right,
be great for even 1 second, Phyllis. So I can't really root for it.
right.
And so I stopped rooting for it and
Yeah,
wanting it.
good.
Yeah.
Because
Like I said, at one
they'd have to dumb that girl down for that. And I don't want that.
at all ever.
Yeah.
No, part of her hotness is her intelligence, and I don't
Hmm.
want anything ruining that for me.
Hmm.
Anything that tries can burn,
Yeah.
as far as I'm concerned.
Yep.
I.e. Devon. I no, I literally hate
I
that
know.
character.
I know. I'm not.
No, no, no. Most people don't know this about me. I genuinely cannot stand his character. I want him gone from or recast. Either way, I something about it never set right in my spirit. Neil deserved
Mhm.
a better. I said it. I said it. I said it. And I'm sure that the black delegation is going to try and take my black card for this because a lot of them seem to have this weird obsession with him where they love him or whatever. Gag. But no, thank you. No, thank you. Y'all can have him. I don't want him. Boo, hiss, boo. And I'll be the one to say it. I'll be one of the only Devon haters of color that exists. I want the
You
worst
do
for
you,
him.
boo.
I was cheering when Neil got the girl that he wanted because Neil had better chemistry with her. And then I was pissed when he screwed over his freaking blind father to get with Hillary when Hillary deserved better than him. And she had it and then ruined it because Devon got in her ear and convinced her that he was something worth caring about, and I was
Mhm.
disgusted ever since. So yeah, I will never root for Devon. I only want bad things for him. As a matter of fact, I would root for Amanda and Lily before I'd ever root for Devon and Amanda.
What about
The only Devon ship that
a
I've ever
lawyer and a doctor?
Nate.
No.
Okay, so who's the doctor this time?
The vein we've been going on, the sapphic vein.
Okay, my brain is not calculating a doctor that is a woman on that show. You know how they go like ages with between like they are. We talk about how GH is bloated, but my God, Y&R.
I'm going to give you a hint, Nate.
Oh, I forgot about her. I forgot she existed. I wasn't sure she was still on the show.
She is. Sadly, I don't. They're hiding her at Taraya's house.
For what Never mind. No words.
I
I
mean, that's
don't
a whole lot of beautiful.
I mean, she might as well be their third. I mean, if she's hiding out at their house anyway for no apparent reason,
I don't know. I'm just assuming that that's where she is since, you know, that's where
then
they're hiding them.
oh. I thought it was just because you wanted her to be under their covers. I don't know. I mean,
Well,
I
I'm
thought
not saying I hate that, but
eh. Yeah, I mean, at one point I kind of wanted it, but I feel like Amanda would eat that girl up. I'm so sorry.
she is ethereal. Oh my God. She
She's
is so
stunning.
gorgeous. And she is. And she's so
She's
sweet. I interviewed her and I interviewed her again at the Emmys, and she's really, really great and grounded. And she just still loves, her GH character and her GH family. And yeah. I talked to her right around the time that the news of Zeman's death broke. And yeah,
oh,
she's really fabulous. She still loves her Spencer roots.
Hmm. I wouldn't
Yeah.
mind back and being a spoiler for Craze.
Hmm?
I said I wouldn't mind Valerie coming
Yeah.
back and spoiler for Craze because they
Yeah.
tested that at one point, and the last time they had chemistry. So I wouldn't be surprised if they had it again because
Yeah.
she's gorgeous, beautiful, and I love her. She
Hmm.
deserves the world and doesn't get it, and I don't know why.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, the character they have her being on this show, I do not necessarily see her being able to be next to a strong woman. I'm sorry, they're gonna eat her up.
Mm.
She's
Okay.
getting devoured and not in the fun way. And I'm like, that's not necessarily fun for me.
Mm, fair enough.
I mean, it'd be
I was
pretty
just
for
thinking of the pretty.
it'd be a sexy ass one night stand though, or a little fling thing. I
Hmm.
could see that.
Yeah.
I would absolutely be down for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I to be honest, I always used to want Devon and Victoria, and it lived up to a lot of my expectations, except for the writing of it.
Mm,
Um,
that's usually what they screw up.
yeah. And so if they ever decided to do a long-term pairing between them, I would not be mad at it. Give that a try again because I definitely loved their vibe.
Yeah.
Or did they do them? No, because they did her and Nate instead, which I also enjoyed. I don't know.
Hmm.
I may be reaching, but
But isn't that what we're here for?
that's true. But speaking of Newmans, we have one
Hmm.
big time
Yeah.
story.
That continues to deliver.
It does. I will say, what whoever came up with this story, whether it was actually Josh or someone else, this is fantastic. If this is the last story Josh does before they actually force him to have a head writer and a staff, then
Hmm.
it's magnum opus and it's worth it.
Yes.
But
It's
go ahead.
good.
True.
It's just and
The twists and turns of it all.
hmm yeah.
It's so we'll go ahead and give a quick rundown of what happened this week and then we'll talk about our thoughts.
Okay.
So just when they were on the verge of turning the tables on Jordan, Seth admitted to knowing who she really was, and he tried to force a meeting between her and Nikki and Victor, and got pushed in front of a drunk driver and was murdered. She pretended that he committed suicide so that she could get some time to run away and change her personas, which watching that was such like old school soap moment, like when she was like
Yeah.
literally changing the way she stands and everything. Wild. Loved it.
It gave me a throwback. When I think of old soaps, I always think of a very classic old soap female move. When the
Mm-hmm.
phone would ring and they'd be picking up the phone, so they'd take off their big, massive clip-on earring.
Yes.
That's what it gave me, and I love that. I love getting that from something.
I agree. It was excellent. It was perfect. It was just what we needed from
Hmm.
that. Um while she's doing that, um Victor starts to kind of push his plan and has Claire call her because Claire
Mm.
like struggling with her place in the family and she really wants to prove herself as like
Yes.
loyal now.
Hmm.
Although part of me that almost wishes there's like something sinister here. But so far it looks like she legitimately just wants to finally have found
Hmm.
her.
Yeah.
So she calls Claire. Claire calls Jordan. Jordan doesn't answer because she's her metamorphosis. And then, we move on. And Claire, she's tired, but she can't sleep because her mind's racing. Meanwhile, Nikki and Victor get news of Seth's death. They head over to the bar to find out what happened and get them to, do a DNA test on the glass or a fingerprint test or something on the glass that she was drinking from.
Bella was using because
Confirm
he knows. I've known
Yeah,
my baby. This was not a suicide, baby.
yeah. It's very clear that it wasn't a suicide, and so
Mhm.
they needed evidence that it was Jordan so that they could be like, no, she pushed him,
Yeah.
bastard, um, and then go from there. But yeah, it turns out it was a hit and run drunken driver because they
Mhm.
never came back, or they never stopped after hitting him.
Yeah.
And so Nikki is panicking and losing her shit.
Hmm.
Uh, and they go back to the ranch and have a little debrief. At one point, they send Claire out of the room to get some chamomile tea for Nikki. Um, but they give the rundown on what happened with the murder, and Victoria is freaking out again because she's always worried about Claire being a target of her
Yeah.
aunt, which, good mommy instincts. We love that for her. But while they're doing their little debrief of what they found out about the murder, news comes down that Victoria's, or I'm sorry, while Nikki and Victor were gone, Claire got a call back from Jordan, and she delivered Victor's message that he wanted to meet and try and find a way to put this whole thing to rest.
And
And
made
then,
sure Jordan knew that she was staying with Victoria.
yeah, at Victoria's house, which leads
Yes.
to the next piece of news, which is that Victoria's house gets burned to the ground.
Yeah.
And while Victor and Victoria are there at the scene checking on the status, um, Nikki and Claire end up getting a chance to bond with because Claire
Hmm.
tries to help Nikki while she's
Hmm.
fighting not to her alcoholism. And she opens
Yes.
up, has this really soft moment, and she talks about wanting to be somebody's favorite. And I was like, my heart started to really hurt for this poor girl who never got to have hopes or dreams because she was always a weapon from the moment she was
Right.
kidnapped at birth.
Yeah.
And that is so devastating and heartbreaking. And I
Yeah.
want her to be somebody's favorite so bad. I also found it interesting that this week she brought up Adam, who has kind of been left out of the conversation for the most part,
Mhm. Yeah.
and how he is but is not a part of the family, and maybe she should talk to him about navigating trying to be a member of the Newmans. And Victoria was like, yeah, let's not do that.
And it's really sad for Claire because Jordan always used her as a weapon and trained her to be a weapon.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, it's kind of what Victor's doing too. Victor's using her. Victoria and Cole just want to be her
Parent.
parents,
Mm-hmm.
but she's still being used as a weapon in this war.
Yeah,
And that's sad for her. And
it
at
is.
some level, she knows it,
Mm-hmm. But
you
she's
know.
willing to because she feels like she owes them
Right.
for the weapon used
Hmm.
against. So they're like,
Right.
fine, because I was the weapon used against you. Now I'll be the weapon used to protect you or to help
Right.
you.
Hmm.
And but I am liking seeing Nikki and Claire bond. It was a really
Hmm.
sweet, and her talking up Claire so much was really, really kind and lovely.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
I love, that whole moment. Later, Nikki calls her sponsor after Claire goes to bed.
Yeah.
Um, and Jack shows up. They talk, and he takes her to a AA meeting that is wildly disturbing for Jack if his to go
Oh, yeah.
by. Because,
If
like, her
they
rage.
aren't setting up a who killed Jordan, I would be very
Mm-hmm.
surprised. And
Yeah.
Nikki just kind of, set up
Jump
AA
to
or
the lead.
not, anonymous or not, there's no legal protection there. And she just set up a room full of witnesses for the prosecution.
Did. And she did. Because it's
It's
very,
so,
if
yeah,
Jordan feels she's too backed into a corner that she can't win, and I could totally see her committing suicide and setting
I'll go
Nikki up
down, but
for
I'm
the
taking you
fall.
down with me.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I guess we'll see what that goes. But Jack steps in to be the a sponsor. While they're at the AA meeting, Victor gets his call from Jordan and sets up a meeting with her.
Hmm.
And then as Victor's coming downstairs getting ready to go to his meeting, he sees Nikki and Jack have returned.
Hmm.
Not that he necessarily knew they left. and he sees her with that bottle of vodka. I'm assuming it's vodka.
Yes, it is. Then he's like, how'd that get in my house?
And he tells her, and he's once again a little jealous of the fact that she keeps
Hmm.
leaning on Jack. Even though, it's known that the sponsor situation should not be someone who is too
Your
close to you
ex-husband?
because, you know,
Yeah.
well, I was going to say too close to you for multiple reasons. So it can't be Victor, but it also, Jack is being the one is kind of a choice. She should probably get another sponsor sometime soon
Yeah.
after this is all over. But for now, it's understandable that she wouldn't want an outside party playing sponsor because it's dangerous um, for them. And Jack is probably in the best position to be safe as a
Right.
sponsor person
Right.
because they can't be someone who's manipulated into hurting her.
Right. Yeah.
But you saw Victor get a
You,
little jealous, and then Jack
yep.
went on with the bottle of vodka, which is dangerous in a sense to me because, like, why are you sending an alcoholic away with a bottle of alcohol, telling him to get rid of it?
Well,
But
here's
rest.
the thing. I didn't think Jack was an alcoholic. I thought he was a drug addict.
Oh yeah. Oh no, no, he's both.
I thought Jack's thing was pills.
He's both
Oh, okay.
because he's had some moment, isn't it? I thought he was
Because
both.
when he was talking to Diane and telling her, he just talked about the pills.
I think pills are the main issue, but I think that
Yeah.
he's had issues with alcohol as like a gateway to falling back into pills.
See, I thought Jack still drank.
Maybe I'm remembering it wrong. I could be remembering it wrong. I love me some Jack, but I there's a lot of
Okay.
stories up in this noggin here. They can get mixed up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so then maybe it wasn't so bad that she had him get rid of the alcohol. So be it.
Yeah.
Anyway, afterwards, Nikki's like, I know you're going somewhere. I have all faith that it has something to do with Jordan. I'm coming with you. He said, no, baby, no. And then goes without
No,
her.
my baby. I'm going to the office to make a call to its business hours in Singapore.
Yeah, because no one
Yeah.
spotted it, but she let him go.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
so that happened.
Yep.
And I am so intrigued by this story. It is crazy how into
Absolutely.
um like I keep seeing these twists and turns, and every time we think we got Jordan there's another
Hmm.
twist turn. I'm just wondering what the final conclusion of the story is going to be. Like, how are they going to do this?
I mean, I honestly think it's going to be either her committing suicide and because she has nothing left to lose and no way out and framing Nikki for it, or her faking her death and framing Nikki for it.
I could see that.
Um, but I mean, she's definitely not a long-term character. Although, they have her fake her death, they could have her pop up down the road. There are lots
Mhm.
of, I mean, she's so good.
She's incredible. Like, they did their thing with this story,
So good.
and their choices of who to play the characters that they gave them, everything just pitch perfect. It's
Right. And I mean, even the whole, and I'm just, you know, even like the ridiculous, she hid in the vents. She carries around a change of, wigs, eyeglasses, and a beret. She sells it. The story's not ridiculous. It's working.
it's ridiculous in the best ways.
Right. And nobody's dumbed down for it.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Um, yeah, I don't know. It's just, yeah, the story's working on 72 levels for me. And I'm can't wait to see what happens next. I really can't. And I want to see where they're going with it, but I don't want it to end. because it's so damn good.
Agreed.
So I guess we'll enjoy the ride while we're on it. And
100 and
I love a soap coming off of strong sweeps and continuing to ride the wave. I love it not just dropping off the cliff when sweeps ends. And I
agreed.
really feel like that's what Young and the Restless is doing right now.
They absolutely could have fallen off the cliff.
Hmm.
It would be very easy for them to do. They've done it in the past and it's been
Hmm.
aggravating, like it would be aggravating now.
Yeah,
But they somehow, you know, have not done
they're
that.
no. And the pacing on it is good. It doesn't feel dragged out. It doesn't feel rushed.
Absolutely.
So it's just, yeah,
What it's supposed to
10
be.
out of 10, no notes.
Agreed. It also kind of is frustrating for me as an individual just because you can do this, you're capable of this. What the hell was
Right.
the rest that you were doing?
Exactly.
What about the rest of that shit you're still doing? Like,
Dude. And I mean, it's not even like he took the strike off and had that time to come up with this great story because all he was doing was sitting around twiddling his thumbs. He's FI core. He worked the whole strike.
it's just baffling.
It is. But let's, in the words of my daughter, let's not concentrate on him being late to the party and let's just be happy he showed up at all.
I can support that theory. I can support that logic. I can support that in general.
Yes.
So, outside of the Newmans at war with Jordan, what are your two most must see storylines that you're looking forward to seeing how they end?
Um, Tucker Ashley. I'm invested. I ship them. I do. And I'm also looking forward to seeing how Audra lands on her feet with this because I have no doubt she will.
Okay,
And
go ahead.
I'd love more with Taraya.
Mm-hmm.
Also, wondering if we are getting the revisit to that I desperately want to Schick, or if it's going to go another way,
If the
which
previews or
we'll talk
anything
about. Yeah.
to go by,
But I'm also looking forward to seeing what happens with the mess that is Danny, Christine, and Phyllis. I'm looking forward to Lily being back home, which will be something we talk about next week,
yes,
because that shitteth is about to hit the fan,
agreed.
which is a good thing on soaps. We want that. Hmm.
Yeah, bring on the
So
mess.
exactly, exactly, and they're giving it to us. So let's ride the wave, baby.
Got my surfboard ready.
Hmm. Amen.
But I just will say this. Let me see here. What am I most looking forward to with the current stories?
Hmm.
Um, Audra being a bad bitch.
Hmm.
Always looking forward to that. Um, Ashley being a bad bitch. Always looking forward to that. If Tucker is involved, so be it. Um, we already have discussed how Newman Ranch is everything. I am curious to see where they go with the OCD story.
Hmm.
That's a little fascinating. And I want Miss Mamie to wipe the floor with Jill.
Hmm. Absolutely. We forgot to touch on that Taraya are house hunting.
Oh,
Um,
yes.
at least we know this time that they're looking to move. Um, maybe we'll see it even actually happen.
I hope they do. I hope they get to have their little dream home. That was
Hmm.
such a cute little scene. Oh
Yeah,
my God, my
it
heart.
was.
And look at this kitchen. Oh, but I bet that one's all the way out in the boonies. So what? We're
Yep.
dry. It's in the morning, right? I was like,
Yep.
And then Mariah being the one to put her foot down and be like, no, we need a
Hmm.
needs and deal breakers list because absolutely
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
And just them being all domestic and cute and talking about the future and how one day they'll be,
Hmm.
having to maybe go to school, go away to college and having to have, college funds. Oh, it was just the cutest shit ever. It's
It
the
really
cute.
was. And we just don't get enough, but I'll take what we get, I guess, until we get more.
I mean, we have to. We have no
Yeah.
choice.
Yeah.
Sadly, because
Exactly.
somebody does not understand what they have in their hands when they have it.
Yes. I mean, I know it would be off the wall, but I think that they could pull it off. They move out of the ranch
Uh
into their
huh.
little house
Uh huh.
and they're working and they need a nanny.
Oh.
And the presumed dead Jordan has a new disguise.
Oh. I think they're moving out until the Jordan thing is resolved, though.
I know,
That's
but if they think Jordan's dead, he fakes
oh.
her death.
Oh. Ooh.
I mean, Victoria needs a place to live. Claire needs a place to live. They need that tack house.
True. Ooh.
So Jordan becomes the new nanny for Arya.
Poor Arya.
I'm just saying I could, and then Taraya have story in this. Taraya have
Agreed.
some skin in this game. I'm here for it.
And are treated like true Newmans instead of like
Right?
afterthoughts because they're
Right.
not thoughts.
Exactly.
They
Exactly.
deserve better than that.
Hmm.
Cutie pies.
Just a storyline idea. If you're watching,
I'm
John.
not mad at it.
Yeah,
I'm not
I'm
mad
saying.
at it at all.
Yeah.
Because faking a death is definitely a soap thing to do for a solid
Hmm.
villain. Like
Right.
she's
Absolutely.
she's the
Yeah.
kind of soap villain that could get away with pulling a story like that. Absolutely.
Exactly. And, if it keeps her on for a while longer, I'll buy it.
There's a lot I'll buy to keep her around for a while.
Mhm. I've believed worse for less when it comes
I
to
mean, there's that
soaps.
part. That part. That part.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm not always proud of what I will accept, but I'd have no problem accepting that.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, whatever it takes, whatever we got to do, you
Hmm.
know, it is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. I think that's all for Y&R.
Yeah, I think it is all for Y&R for this week. It was a big week, and I think we're going to have a few more big weeks at the very least. So stay tuned.
All right. Now if you can't get enough of the two of us being the messy hoes we are, then there's a way that you can get more of what we do. And that would be, for one, you can go to patreon.com// Petty Prattle Podcast. Uh, any Our first 3 month long podcast, our Laundry Day podcast for the core four, will be there for free. However, future podcasts will be behind paywall because you get them 1 day early.
Mhm.
Um, and so we'll basically make the podcast, make them available on Patreon a day early. You get to enjoy and engage, and then the next day it'll be free everywhere that podcasts are available. Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, and you name it. And let's see here. And where else can we be found, my dearest friend?
We can be found at pettyprattle.com, where you will find all of the latest soap news, spoilers, recaps, op-eds, polls, everything to your heart's content. We also have some interactive content aside from the polls coming your way soon. So stay tuned for that. We are on Twitter. We are on Facebook. We're working on the Instagram, boomer, I guess. I mean, I'm not a boomer, but my kids certainly think so. And eventually, even we'll have our TikTok up. But for now, we're lots of places you can find us, and we have content coming at you lightning speed.
But for today, this has been your Under the Crimson Lights weekend review for Young and the Restless. I want to thank you so much for coming and visiting with us. And I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your day and a fantastic week ahead. This has been our beloved Angela.
And our beautiful Toni.
See you next
Trust me.
time.
Bye.
Bye.